Yeah, it looks like I caught old Roland Martin in the perfect moment there. Y'all know Roland. I've trashed his shows before. He's an absolute incompetent host, and you're going to see more examples of that here. He is the biggest propaganda artist. Well, not really. There's bigger propaganda artists. He's going to have a lawyer come on here who's even bigger. So they're going to talk about Jaheim McMillan. He's a 15-year-old kid who got shot by the police, and that's caused all kinds of hell. And we're going to slowly get to the truth here. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
All right there, Roland. Take her away. Let's listen to it. And by the way, everybody, put your boots on.
It has been nearly 2 weeks since Gulfport, Mississippi police shot and killed 15-year-old Jaheim McMillan. His family, they want answers, and some of that may come when police release the body cam footage of the shooting. Witnesses say that McMillan was walking out of a store when the officers shot him. Police say the teen had a gun. Witnesses say he was unarmed. The conflicting stories pushed protesters to demand that police have transparency by releasing the body cam footage taken the day that he was shot. Now,
by the way, where have we heard this? Witnesses say that he was unarmed and had his hands up, but the police say something different. Yeah, Michael Brown, Ferguson, Missouri. We all know now that you cannot trust witnesses, and those who trusted these witnesses are in for a big surprise.
Saturday, Black Lives Matter Mississippi and the Mississippi Rising Coalition held a rally to demand justice for Jaheim. Mississippi Public Safety Director Sean Tindell says footage will be released to the public once the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation analyzes the footage. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump and Jaheim's mother, Katrina Mateen, are here joining us right now. I'm glad to have both of you here. First of all, Ms. Mateen, sorry for your son's loss. All too often we have to talk to mothers like yourself in these situations. First and foremost, again, this took place 2 weeks ago. How were you alerted as to what took place between Gulfport police and your son on that fateful day?
A friend of the family called me and said that my son has been shot.
By the way, unlike the Miami International Airport incident, she seems to be really tore up over this. So we have to pay her some respect in that matter. This is not faking. She's really distraught.
Obviously, it is still a lot to deal with. You are in the midst of having to plan his funeral for this weekend. I want to pull up Ben Crump now.
Now get ready. Here is the biggest freaking liar on the planet.
And Ms. Mateen, I'll give you an opportunity to certainly gather yourself. And it's very difficult, obviously, to have to talk about these shootings when it's still so fresh and you still haven't buried your son. Ben Crump, I'm trying to understand, for them to say that they're waiting to analyze the footage, it happened 2 weeks ago. How long does it take to analyze body cam footage?
That's not the issue. It's not a matter of how long does it take to analyze it. It's a matter of how long does it take for it to be releasable to the public. Those laws vary from state to state. This matter is now under state investigation, and they may have put a gag order on that. I mean, I could very well easily see the state saying, no, you're not releasing anything until we get done.
You know, Roland, as I watched Katrina just agonize over this tragedy.
By the way, I do like his suit and that tie. I'll give him that. He knows how to dress.
Her 15-year-old son killed by the very people who are supposed to protect and serve her. We know.
No, the police are there to protect the community. the truth will come out. But this nonsense that, well, he was shot by the police and the police are there to protect him. No. In fact, I think that the police were there to protect the community from him.
Oh, Roland, this is the playbook. They delay in hopes that people will forget about it and they can sweep it under the rug. But thank God for Katrina, her family, and the activists demanding transparency. We're going to file a public records lawsuit to release the video. Now, states like Mississippi and Alabama, their Supreme Courts fight to say you don't get any transparency, but they cannot deny people like you, Roland, and us continuing to fight in the court of public opinion to say, if you have nothing to hide, why don't you release the video? Because we all know, Roland Martin, we've been doing this too long, that if that video showed Jaheim with a gun, they would already released it and it'll be all over the news by now.
That is simply illogical. I'm sorry, you cannot make that logical leap that if the video showed him having a gun, they would have released it. No, there is nothing to say that that is true. What is the logical basis for that? Remember, this is under state investigation. It's not necessarily up to the Gulfport police to decide if they can release it or not. And, in fact, the police have said that once the state closes its investigation, they will release it.
This reminds me of the case that you were involved with in Houston, again, where cops said one thing, and once the body cam footage came out, it showed that the young man did not have a gun, and how the police rolled up. And so you're absolutely right. Again, we showed the video last week of the police chief sharing his information, but again, to sit here and say we're almost 2 weeks away. The family is preparing to bury this young man, and they still have not shown that. And you're right; it's very simple. If he had a gun, as they say he did, then the video should clearly show that.
Yeah, and Roland Martin, Attorney Monique Preston and I, we argued and fought to get the video released in Houston, Texas. With Joshua Feast, we're going to have to do that with Jaheim McMillan. But the other thing that is just outrageous is once they had shot him in the head, they then put him in handcuffs.
Which is standard operating procedure. And he knows it's standard operating procedure. He knows the rules. But he's saying this because he knows that this is something that can be bandied around on social media. The guy is a total charlatan. Oh, by the way, he mentioned Joshua Feast. Now, let's go back to what Roland Martin said.
In Houston, again, where cops said one thing, and once the body cam footage came out, it showed that the young man did not have a gun, and how the police rolled up. And so
Oh, really? Well, let's go ahead and look at the evidence. What actually happened with Joshua Feast in Houston? Body camera video released in fatal Texas police shooting of Joshua Feast. Then let's go ahead and skip on down here. Body camera footage has been released in the fatal police shooting of Joshua Feast, a 22-year-old black man who died earlier this month in Texas. Feast, 22, was fatally shot on December 9th when a police officer in La Marque, a city of about 40 miles southeast of Houston, I'm not familiar with that town at all, was attempting to arrest him on outstanding warrants. The La Marque Police Department said, okay, he has a warrant out for his arrest. Following multiple public information requests following the shooting, body camera video of the incident was released on Monday by the Galveston County Sheriff's Office, which is the agency investigating the incident. Officer Jose Santos was looking for Feast as part of an investigation into 2 recent drive-by shootings. Gee, I wonder if those warrants were felonies. Santos found Feast while patrolling at about 11 o'clock that night and saw Feast was holding a gun. Okay, that's the claim. Body camera video released by police, thanks to Benjamin Crump. Thank you, Benjamin. shows Santos driving and exiting his car as someone leaves the passenger door of another vehicle. Santos appears to open his driver's side door and fire a shot at Feast as he runs away. So we'll skip down here. We don't care about the sound deal. Feast appears to stumble after he runs away, and an unidentified object is dropped to the ground based on the video footage. Police said Monday that the object was a handgun, later recovered by officers and turned over to Galveston County Sheriff's Office. Oh, it wasn't a handgun. That's a conspiracy. Oh, really? So you have both police departments in on this conspiracy? Yeah, right. That's going to happen. Santos chases Feast to the driveway of a nearby residence where Feast collapses to the ground. The officer requests medics to the scene as well as backup, adding that someone recovered the firearm that was dropped in the chase. "Show me your hands," the officer said. "Help me, help me, help me," Feast responded. Okay, whatever. Santos appears to hold Feast at gunpoint while he is on the ground, asking nearby residents who approach the scene to keep back. Feast died at a hospital following the shooting after being transferred from the scene by an ambulance. Oh, this is really good. A second handgun was found in Feast's clothing as he was being treated in the ambulance. So, are you having the EMS also involved in all this big conspiracy there, Mr. Crump? According to him, you'd have to have the Lamarck Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, and EMS involved in this grand conspiracy to conjure up a handgun that didn't exist. Or is there a more likely story? The more likely story was that he did have a handgun. Jeez, this is pathetic.
You're absolutely right. Again, we showed the video last week of the police chief sharing his information, but again, to sit here and say we're almost 2 weeks away. The family is preparing to bury this young man, and they still have not shown that. And you're right; it's very simple. If he had a gun, as they say he did, then the video should clearly show that.
Yeah, and Roland Martin, Attorney Monique Preston and I, we argued and fought to get the video released in Houston, Texas. With Joshua Feast, we're going to have to do that with Jaheim McMillan. But the other thing that is just outrageous.
By the way, notice that he didn't correct Roland. He didn't say, there, Mr. Roland, we have to go back and say that. Actually, they did find a couple of handguns, and there was a handgun on video footage. No, he just lets the lie roll.
Is once they had shot him in the head, they then put him in handcuffs. Why didn't they try to give him medical assistance? Why do they have to treat our children like animals? I mean, clearly at that point, he's no threat. He's no way putting you in fear. Why don't you try to help save his life, preserve his life? Why aren't you using your training and professionalism for this black life? Why do you treat it as if it has no value? Where is the humanity? And I think that's why Katrina's having such a difficult time when she processes it all. And we just have to continue to pray for the family and fight for justice for Jaheim.
By the way, I don't know how you treat a head wound. I mean, if you fire a bullet through a guy's head, what do you do for that person? I don't know. I mean, keep in mind, the cop is not EMS. He's got a limited amount of, I guess, first aid supplies, but I don't know. I mean, maybe in the comment section, if any of you know, but I know that I would be at a loss. I'd be like, well, okay, I'm going to stand here and try to keep the mob from killing me.
Katrina, obviously, whenever these cases happen, police, they have one perspective, they how to try to frame who the individual was. For folks who don't know, tell them who your son Jaheim was.
Oh, we're going to get here the real truth about how good a boy old Jaheim was from his mother. And by the way, she's also going to tell us that, well, first of all, he was not a violent kid. He would never have a gun like that. Never broke laws. I mean, this is a good kid, good citizen. Let's see what she says.
Jaheim, he was a lovable person.
He was a lovable person. Okay.
He was a good brother.
Good brother.
And he loved his friends.
He loved his friends.
My son he was not disrespectful.
He wasn't disrespectful. Okay. Now, she's a grieving mother. Obviously didn't come into this with some strategy, but I mean, your son's been accused of basically pointing a gun at a cop. Gee, I think I would be all over. My son would never do anything like that. But she doesn't. Because I have a feeling that Jaheim's been in a lot of trouble.
Well, I want folks to understand that, again, when these things happen, Ben Crump, these are human beings. These are individuals who are children, who are nephews, nieces, cousins.
We know that. Look, everybody who has ever committed a crime, who's killed somebody else out there, who's committed atrocities, is related to people. Yeah, they always have brothers and mothers and stuff. I mean, what's the point of this? I hear this crap all the time. We must not forget that he had brothers and sisters. Yeah, I know. The cop who shot him because Jaheim apparently pointed a gun at him, he has family too. He has a wife and kids. But we forget about that.
Siblings, and they're simply not just another random case. And I think it's important for folks to understand that they also go beyond just being a hashtag. And I totally understand it is very difficult for Katrina to have to talk about her son in the past tense, if you will, because he's lost his life. And that's one of the points that I consistently say, Ben, you can't come back from death.
Nice thing to say to a grieving mother. Your son can't come back from death.
And too often we've seen where force was used, unfortunately, taking the lives of many young black men. And that's why it is important for police to be forthright and honest about what took place at that particular convenience store that led to the death of Jaheim McMillan. Ben, final comment.
Roland, thank you for continuing to put a spotlight on Jaheim McMillan. Obviously, Gulfport police is acting as if he doesn't matter, but you can see to Katrina, he matters. To their family, to their community, he matters. And thank God, Roland Martin, for you and the audience of people all over America who watch your show every day, especially black people. Let's continue to fight to get to truth and transparency. So hopefully we can get justice for Jaheim. That's what Katrina wants more than anything, that her son's death will not be in vain, and that these who killed him, I mean, he's 15 years old, for God's sake, should be held accountable for taking him from this earth far, far too soon.
He says he wants truth and transparency. That's a bunch of horse manure. They didn't want truth and transparency when it came to Joshua Feast. They tried to peddle this idea somehow that the video footage showed he didn't have a gun, when in fact it did. He had 2 of them on him. No mention of that. How's that for forthrightness? Roland and Benjamin Crump are 2 of the biggest liars on the web. Truth and transparency. Oh, by the way, a little update. Hang on. And away we go.
Developments this morning in the death of a Gulfport teen that happened in October. The Mississippi Department of Public Safety Commissioner confirmed today Jaheim McMillan's family has seen the video evidence of the Gulfport police-involved shooting that killed the 15-year-old. Commissioner Sean Tindell told WLOX News Now the family saw both a slow motion version and an unedited version of the footage. He says the MBI investigation has been completed, and through a new law involving officer-involved shootings, the case has been turned over to the state's Attorney General's office. The AG will determine what happens next.
It's a tragic situation. I mean, my heart really, it's torn apart for the family. I know it's difficult. And look, this has been difficult on a lot of people. And what we really wanted to do for the family is let them see the facts, let them understand what's real and what they've heard that's not true.
What they have heard is not true.
And so that they can make up their own mind about what should happen from here.
Tindell added that the video, as it occurred, will eventually be released to the public.
Okay, and I was going to show you the CEDAR report, the majority report on this, but I think I'm going to go ahead and shut it down a little bit early here. This video is taking a while here, but I want to say something here. Benjamin Crump, they showed the family the body cam footage 2 days ago. And of course, Benjamin Crump has scheduled a whole bunch of press conferences to express the outrage of the innocent shooting of an unarmed kid, right? No, we've heard nothing but crickets. Nothing. No press conferences. Nothing. Gee, I wonder why. Now, it could be that Benjamin Crump, for some reason, has decided, oh, I don't want to take this to the airwaves. Oh, no. Well, what would you put your money on? Do you really think that if you had to put your life savings on the outcome, that you would put your life savings on the fact that, well, no, that teenager was actually unarmed? Really? I think I know where I'd be putting my money. So, at any rate, like my video, subscribe to my channel. And in my next video, I think I'll cover the majority report and those two dimwits that you see on the screen.